Okay. Just checking.
No.
There we go, and we are live. Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Fuse School platform, our channel on YouTube. Shout out for everyone that's tuning in today. I would like to thank you guys for taking the time to join in this amazing topic, the age of AI. With me today, I have my wonderful team, Corney,
Hi.
Laura, C. Yes.
Hi
So just
guys.
started off, guys. Let's get into it with a quick introduction. I'm Tatum. I'm the head of Fuse School, but also just a passionate teacher, and I love what I do. Corney?
Hi, guys. So, as you know, I'm the designer of Few Schools videos. So, yeah, let's get these videos rolling.
Over to you, Lara.
Hi, my name's Lara. I'm a student in Birmingham in the UK. I've just started my GCSEs and had the opportunity to do some work for school, Few School, and I've got a keen interest in AI.
Perfect. And last but not least, myself. So Casey Quincy. I run a business called Amplify AI, and we build workflows and use AI automation to help teams be more productive and sort of remove some of those repetitive tasks that slow businesses down. So I think I'm on here as the AI expert, but I think Laura's going to give me a run for my money, which is going to be great.
No, absolutely. Listen, I am so excited because the talk of the town, everything, every day is AI related. And I think it's such a real topic that we need to discuss and we need to get through. So let's get started. As everyone know, AI is part of our everyday life. We use it because of our device, right? We in the age of the internet today, but I am very, very sure that there's a lot of people that have no clue what AI is or where to use it or what the purpose is of AI, right? So let's start with the very, very bottom scale. Let's go right back to it. And Casey, do you mind explaining to our learners? Think about the 13-year-old out there or the 80-year-old grandpa, grandma that's not so sure, but that hears about AI. What exactly is AI?
Yeah, and I think I can answer this quite well because I think I still think like a 13-year-old. So I'll just put it in my plain language. But yeah, AI is everywhere, right? So you can't turn on the news, speak to someone, a company's announcement, everyone's talking about AI, and essentially it's artificial intelligence. It's actually been around for years. The new craze is generative AI, and essentially what that is doing is using computers or machines to simulate human intelligence and do complex tasks like problem solving, analyzing large forms of data, and actually making decisions. And generative AI is actually creating new responses based on the information that it has. So really, it's computers thinking like humans, and most of the early capabilities, it's just solving some of those repetitive tasks that will help businesses and teams be more productive, which is really important.
Absolutely. And that's so important because I think the way that we are moving, everybody is using a device, everybody is using internet, whether it be on your phone or on your computer. And I think if we want to be successful with our daily task or just at least get the best out of it, like they say, work smart, not hard, I think AI is going to help us propel into that. But Laura, is there anything you would like to touch on with AI, seeing that you're a student and you speak for students today? How has AI or the introduction of AI blown your mind?
Yes, I mean, in simple terms, Casey's already said that a machine is basically AI is a machine that can think, learn, and act like humans. And for me as a student, we use it all the time. So in our work, but there are often times when we're worried that teachers may use it for plagiarism checkers. So GPT-0. So as a student, we know quite a lot about it, but haven't really been fully educated on the impact because it's not really embedded into our curriculum yet. But that might change in the future. So hopefully we will learn more about it.
I think at the minute, with all new technologies, everyone's at a game of cat and mouse, right? So kids are using it. Teachers are saying, "Oh, should I be using it? How do I check if they're using it?" And it was probably, I mean, I was around and in work when internet was really, coming into the workplace, and it's been the same. Every technology change, there are innovators. The whole, and I worked in SaaS, like software as a service, for the last 15 years. And there's always fear. There's people scared of new changes and new technology, but there's always those early adopters. And that's amazing, Lara, that you're using it every day. I was saying to Tatum only earlier today that I still come across businesses, senior leaders, that aren't using any sort of AI tools. So more generative. So like you said, you're using Claude, you're using ChatGPT. It's fantastic. At 16 years old, really learning what it can do, what it can't do, and how it can help you be more productive and more efficient is I think it's a real good skill to learn.
Absolutely. Casey, that brings me to the next question. You brought up ChatGPT. Everybody knows ChatGPT, or most people that's into tech has heard about ChatGPT. I mean, we can see it in our Instagram posts because you just know that there's a certain look around ChatGPT.
Yeah.
So if you use it, you are able to identify it, right? So for me, I'm quite new to the whole AI game, but I'm really, really keen to learn how to use it to harness what I do as a teacher, but also as a content developer. So can you help me understand, and also some of our viewers out there, what the difference is, or is there even a difference between AI and ChatGPT?
Yeah, so ChatGPT has pretty much become synonymous for AI, right? And like you say, some people are saying, is AI just ChatGPT? But it's just one provider, one technology that falls under AI as an umbrella technology stack. So there'll be lots of competition, and you mentioned, Lara, things like Claude, and you've got so many. I think there's now thousands of sort of user-facing applications, all solving different problems. And ChatGPT is just probably it was the first to market on a large consumer scale, and now they're backed by Microsoft. So they're really doing some great things, and they are just one service provider that within the AI ecosystem, but they're just the one that's pretty talking the loudest at the minute.
Yeah. And that's cool also, because I think what you can do with ChatGPT, you can do so much actually with ChatGPT, right? But what is the main purpose for ChatGPT as just a normal person? What would the normal person use ChatGPT for?
I mean, Lara, why don't you talk? What do you use it for? That would be. I mean, I'm so intrigued to see. From a student's perspective, that's amazing.
Yes, I mean, you can use AI nowadays for literally anything. And because ChatGPT is a chatbot and it's an LLM, so generative AI, it can create its own text up. So I can use it in English to help me brainstorm ideas for an essay I have. And the thing is, a lot of students nowadays, we don't use it for the whole essay, but we use it to embed parts in there. And I also use ChatGPT just in general to answer any questions or help me write a poem. But of course, because I do coding on the side, I also use ChatGPT to help me write code and fix any bugs that have occurred. So it can basically do anything.
That's incredible.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Program teaching you code, basically.
So, what's great to hear, Lara, is that you're at your age just adopting that new technology. Because in my job, so I work with organizations, I work with their different divisions, different departments, be it sales, marketing, L&D teams, etc. And I help them understand how they can use tools like ChatGPT, because you can build out bespoke workflows. And there's actually this bit of resistance. And I don't know if it's a generational thing, but sometimes people are fearful and they're like, okay, I don't want to use it too much because I don't want to. They feel like they're training it. They don't want it to become too skilled. They maybe don't want to show the business that AI can do a lot of their work. But it's not to replace you. It's to help you be more productive. It's to make you more valuable. And exactly what you said there is what I'm sort of building out every day. And probably a day doesn't go past that I don't use it, because now maybe I'm just too lazy, but it does research for me. It helps me, sort of tailor my thoughts. I can be a bit scatty and all over the place, and I send voice notes to ChatGPT, and it can summarize them and help me formalize some of my thinking. It's I use it a load with my daughter, who's 5 years old. So I'm trying to get her sort of used to speaking to an AI language and understand what she can use it for and what she can't. So that's really great. I think you're 10 steps ahead of a lot of the large enterprises, which is fantastic.
Corné, how do you, as a designer, use ChatGPT, for example? Do you mind just dropping us a few points on how you implement ChatGPT in your day-to-day life?
Yeah, sure. So at the moment, I was kind of stuck on the idea of copyright issues and just the idea of using AI isn't as creative as a person can think. So from this year, I thought maybe I should try it out and just use it as an inspirational method, basically, to look at what it can process for you, basically. And yeah, it's basically when you're baking cookies, you put in your ingredients and you get something out, the idea that you thought maybe this is the cookie that you wanted, but it comes out differently. So yeah, that's basically how I use AI at the moment.
It's funny you say a recipe. I use it for recipes. I say, this is what's in the fridge. By the end of the week, this is what's in the fridge. Help me make a dish with these ingredients.
So clever.
Yeah, I probably use it too much, actually. But if I can ask a question myself, actually, Tatum, Lara, in regards to using it at school, obviously I left school quite a while back, but what's the teacher? I mean, the kids. For me, whenever I love new technology. Whenever a new technology comes around, as soon as AI, and again, maybe I shouldn't say it too much, but I love anything that can do some work for me. Brilliant. I jumped at the chance to use it, and I'm so surprised that people aren't falling over themselves to use it all the time. What's the appetite for teachers? Are they strict and like you shouldn't use it? What's the dialogue they're using to try and help the kids understand where it fits into to your sort of curriculum or usage patterns? Oh, sorry, that was a question to you, Lara. I don't know if you can hear me there. What's the response from the teachers in regards to the kids using?
Oh, I see. Well, in terms of teachers, they use AI to create lesson plans, and as you said, make things easier for them. So marking assessments and essays, but it's not really a topic that's discussed that much at school, because whenever someone brings up AI, everyone really hushes them. So it's not an open topic. But for students, we find that generative AI is the most exciting development, and we love the fact it can create content for us. And when ChatGPT first came out, I was one of the first to use it a few weeks after it was released. So I felt quite special. But then soon after, that changed, because after a month or so, everyone knew about it. But with teachers, they do use it at my school, and I know that, but it's not really a topic that's discussed at school.
Yeah, I feel like there probably needs to be a little bit more. I'm sorry, Tatum, you're as a teacher. What's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I can imagine as a teacher, it's a tool for teachers to kind of limit the amount of work, or at least kind of help us to compact it a little bit because there's too many things to get around as a teacher, but we don't want our kids to become dependent on using ChatGPT as an answering tool. So, for example, you utilize it for essays or you utilize it for poetry, which is two different styles of writing. However, with that, it kind of diminishes the learning that happens in the classroom. And I think that's why teachers are scared to get the ChatGPT or the AI into the classroom, because they don't want the kids to become dependent. Another thing that I'm always worried about in the classroom is because, yeah, you have ChatGPT at home to help you. You have ChatGPT to help you just, combat the basic skills. But now what happens during the exam period? You can't use it because you're not allowed your devices. I don't know how it is in the classroom, but when I was at school, we were not allowed to use our devices in the classroom. We had to go to the dictionary to try and find a word or an understanding. And I think that's what's the scary thing now with technology, that it is absolutely everywhere. But how can a teacher then continue to teach if a device is taking over? So I think it's like a balance there. It's a great homework tool. It's like a tutor without having to have a physical person there.
Yeah, and I think you hit on there, and like I said, the evolution of all technology, it was probably exactly the same with the internet, right? And teachers probably had the same fear when kids could go home and just research and Google every answer, subject, topic. So these things, that they have a way of evolving. This is just, I think there's the ethical use. I think that's where schools have to probably put a little bit more focus, because you don't want to bury your head in the sand and just say, I hope this goes away, because it's not. This is a massive trend that's going to see. We're only seeing like the tip of the iceberg. Sort of like, when I tell people, when you think back to when the internet first launched, no one really knew what value it would add. And there's so many videos of people mocking people like Bill Gates and, saying, well, what's this really going to be used for? It just seems like it's a bit of a gimmick. And imagine now not being able to have your phone and get live results, see the news, meet virtually through Zoom or other technologies. Not having the internet just seems crazy now, doesn't it? And I think that's what, if we look back in 5 to 10 years, I was saying to a friend, we'll probably be telling my daughter's nearly 6. I'll probably be telling her that I used to prompt the AI. She'd be like, what? I used to ask questions. I think it will evolve to the point where it will just be autonomous. It'll be acting on its own. There's already, new platforms that are doing that, and she'll be blown away by the fact that it was just static until someone interacted with it. She's like, okay, so it just sat on your desktop or on your mobile. You had to go in there and ask it questions. Probably the same way as we look back at the early stages of the internet. So I think it's really important that teachers get ahead of this.
Absolutely.
And start teaching the ethical usage, when's good to use it, when not, because otherwise it's going to be here to stay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like Casey, what you're saying now, about you being the person now that's prompting it and teaching it how to do what you want it to do, and I know you use it for your daughter as well to help and assist her learning, and Laura, the same with you using it in your classroom. I have a question now. Right now, people are scared as well because they don't know enough about it. And this is what the purpose of this live stream is to basically debunk the mystery behind, will AI replace humans? I mean, I'm scared too. I'm a teacher, but right now, ChatGPT is acting cleverer. ChatGPT is
cleverer. Yeah.
Like, I'm for real scared. So I want to know, what do you think that what are the implications of AI on employment and job displacement for the future?
Well, Laura, you go ahead, because I think you're a great testament to not being fearful of it, which is fantastic.
Well, yes, I have noticed nowadays people have become more fearful. I mean, I remember when COVID first came about, and it was quite a scary time with so much uncertainty. But now I sort of feel it's the same, because I see so many adults fearful about their future, hearing them saying, like you did, Tatum, that AI is taking over their jobs or becoming smarter than them. And my generation is becoming more anxious, as we don't really know what career path to follow. Will those jobs still be around in 3 or 4 years? Because the path our parents followed isn't really the same. And we don't really know what skills are needed for the future. When we hear the NVIDIA CEO and Stability AI CEO both tell us that there's no need to learn coding anymore, but then we've just started learning that at school, it just makes everyone a bit confused, thinking in lessons, why are we doing this or so behind? But then we hear conflicting views from Sam Altman, the OpenAI CEO, who says that coding is still an important skill to improve computational thinking in order to understand how to prompt AIs. I mean, no one really knows for certain what the truth is, but with AI, like you were saying, being able to do literally anything, coding, writing stories, creating movies nowadays, it does make people both worried and confused. So I think there is a lot of uncertainty at the moment.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think the only way that you need to, well, the way I get through thinking about AI is, one, learn it, right? Jump on the bandwagon, and there's been loads of statements, and actually by the big names that you mentioned there, Lara, the big statement that's flowing around now is that AI won't replace your job, but people who know how to utilize AI will replace your job. So it's really important to learn it. And I know I keep harping on about, because I went sort of at the early stages of seeing the internet, come into its own, and seeing software market boom. And my parents would never have seen that skill being necessary, right? To learn software, to code, like you mentioned there. But to even understand, I'm a salesman by trade, but even to understand how infrastructure works, how the cloud works, how these technologies would be sewn together behind the scenes so that you can actually provide these to businesses. The same will be said for AI. It will spawn hundreds or thousands of new companies. So there'll be new jobs, but there'll be people moving from a current software job to an AI software job. The new jobs, we're already seeing it. I mean, my job, as an AI automation coach, pretty much, that's a new stream of revenue. It's a new job. There'll be lots of new jobs created, the same way as people were scared of any big technology change. I do agree that there will be lots of job losses, and mainly just because businesses are greedy. If they know they can replace people with technology, they will. However, there'll be a need for those people to reskill, and that's always the evolution of people. You need to reskill into new areas that are now deemed important, and I think that's what will happen with AI. Because even they say that you don't like, and I think Sam Altman's more right, because I play around with the back end and building prompts. You still need to know basic code. I mean, a lot of it is natural language, which is fantastic for me, and it is important to know how to instruct and talk to these AI applications in natural language. So I can say, this is what I want you to do, and it will code that in the background. But having that ability to know code, you can actually take it to the next level. So there'll always
you need the basics.
Yeah,
you need to know the basics.
Seeing that you guys, I have 3 coders in front of me, 3 experts. I have no idea what coding is.
I've never coded in my life. I've never coded in my life. See, I actually want AI to be able to do that for me. So there'll be people on both sides of the equation, right? So I'm pro AI and applications that can code, because I have the ideas. And the last 15 years, you've seen the big CEOs of today have come from a computer science, coding developer background, right? Because they've been able to sit in their houses and just build out platforms and applications. They have an idea and they can build it. So, and I've always said, wow, I've got loads of ideas of great businesses, but I can't code it. Then you have to get investment, you have to hire a team. It's a big job to go out and just try and build something. With applications now that I can just talk to with natural language, it actually gives everyone the ability to be a developer. So I actually see this as amazing. This is now, bad for the coders maybe, the developers, but this opens up a world where anyone can build applications, anyone can build websites, web apps, like actual create software just by talking to an AI. It's amazing.
It's the same with Sora, where you can create videos now with text.
Yeah.
It's still in the starting stages, but it can improve. And later on, animation videos will just be created by AI. But you still need a person to look over it and look at the principles that is followed and the rules. So,
That's very important that you say that, Corne, because I'm thinking like, yes, we have all these AI tools that can help us generate this and generate that, but you still need the eyes of an actual human to oversee that the process is followed. And I think it's so important in both our jobs. Like we can consult with ChatGPT. We can use it as a tool to help us get the best work or standard of work out there. But I don't think we need to be fearful that we'll be replaced. Rather, that we should upskill ourselves with the knowledge to kind of use AI to leverage what we do. And on that note, seeing that I want to learn something, can you, Laura, tell me about coding a little bit more? What is it? Like, I'm sure we have some viewers out here that wants to know what coding is or who's not too sure.
Yeah. With coding, you can create anything. So it's basically in computer language, writing what you want a computer to do. So there are different coding languages like Python, JavaScript, HTML, and they're all used for different purposes. Like some might be better for animations, some might be better for websites or apps, but they all are basically a way to communicate with computers in a way that both humans and computers can understand, because computers are basically understand binary, which is zeros and ones, but we can't just type loads of zeros and ones to get it to understand. So we found a way to communicate with the computers in code. But as you're saying, nowadays, AI can do it for us. So I think it's really good to use AI to our benefit and work hand in hand with AI so that it can help you code as well as you knowing how to yourself.
Okay, that's super, super interesting. And following that, do you think AI make mistakes? I mean, I think that's everybody nowadays wants to know if AI makes mistakes. I mean, who can tell me a little bit more about that topic? Casey?
Yeah, I'll kickstart. And I mean, it makes loads of mistakes, right? So it's there's multiple reasons. So if you break it down to the basics, there's a thing called hallucinations, and you may have come across it. So that's where it's still, especially it's learning from information, and you can actually control the temperature, but without getting too deep. It's creative, right? So it's creating ideas, and sometimes it gets a bit too creative, and it's called a hallucination, and it will just lie. So it will take information, and it will either exaggerate, but it will make it sound so compelling. If you just took it and used that, you'd be like, oh, this is brilliant. And everyone says it's from a computer, it must be true, right? But it's still learning. It's still early in the evolution. And also, even though we can't call it a mistake, but there's also bias, right? So there's a lot of bias in AI. And when we come back to what's the difference between AI and ChatGPT, OpenAI, who built ChatGPT, that's an organization that have designed and coded the parameters for that version of their AI platform. and then Google will do the same, Apple will join the race. So there's all these different tech organizations that will build their own parameters around how they want to design and deliver their AI. So not all AI will be the same. It's like all software companies. They're not all built equally. And you'll choose which one you want to use. So, I mean, I predominantly use ChatGPT, but I know loads of friends that would just use Claude or Gemini, and they'll have bias by whoever built it, because it's still built by a human, right? So they can put in parameters to say, lean towards this or answer it with this persuasion. So there's going to be a lot of creative licensing and trust put into the organizations, because you're trusting how they've designed the AI to give you the answers that you're then using.
Yeah, it's like Wikipedia, basically. You added the information and people are controlling it. There is people looking over it to see if it's legit, but yeah.
Well, Elon Musk is very vocal on X at the minute, and he's very he's very pro AI, but he's very pro an ethical way. And some people don't know, just because he's no longer involved in ChatGPT. He was involved in the early days. He might be a bit bitter, but I do believe he's on the right sort of train of thought, because he's concerned, right? Because the same way as when you use Google will give you information that fits their agenda, and he doesn't think that that's a good way, and those biases have maybe got out of control. So I think that, again, that human critical thinking of receiving an answer and saying, is this the answer that I believe to be true? And maybe I should always then use your own sort of do your own research, never just take anything at face value. And Laura, you're probably seeing it all the time when you're using it for school, right? Sometimes it can throw out some silly answers.
Yes, yeah. Just like Casey said, that always happens to me when I use ChatGPT or other chatbots. It's always had many hallucinations because it generates its own information. So that's why I always fact check afterwards, especially when I know something is not right and I've learned it at school and it's different. And with maths especially, it's often wrong. But I read an article in The New Scientist, and they said that if you prompt it to respond like someone from Star Trek, it will have a better response and be more accurate. So I'll try that out and see if it works.
You made an amazing point there. I was actually going to add to that. So there's mistakes, but the biggest thing I see in new users, so when I go in to train and help people understand ChatGPT, is they say, oh, I've used it, I asked it a question and it gave me a really generic, terrible answer. What people fail to appreciate today, and in the early stages of the evolution of Gen AI, is that you're asking a computer that knows pretty much everything. It's got access to so much information, and you're just asking it a very generic question. You're going to get, the old adage, ask a silly question, get a silly answer. But there's now, and talking about new jobs, it's called prompt engineering. And I don't do prompt engineering. That's more of the coding, developing side. But I do prompt formatting, really. So I help businesses understand, actually, how should you ask the question? There's some really good frameworks that people use, and I use a Risen framework. And it's give the AI, when you're asking a question, give it a role. Who are you? You're a consultant, you're a maths expert, you're a scientist, whatever role you want, to whatever the question is based on, and then give it some instructions. And I saw a really good example. It's like a genius intern has just joined your company, and they know everything. They're an absolute genius. However, day one of the job, you've got to tell them what to do, where to go and get the information, give them the instructions. They'll go and do the task brilliantly, but you've got to give them the task. They just don't know what to do. So when you're asking your question, you really need to set the AI up to be successful. So give it a lot of parameters, make sure you're providing it a really clear instruction. So Corner, you mentioned natural language skills is going to be really important, because those instructions, the way that you ask the question, will mean that you're going to get a better response. So that is really important. And sometimes I can create massive prompts and I save them, and I know that I put all the effort into the prompt, and I can just use it again and again and again, and it will save me having to do loads of manual work because I've created a really professional prompt. So again, there's mistakes, but there's also user error, and I think that user error is going to be really important as well.
Mm-hmm. I know errors that happens with generating images. So you can also negative prompt it. And then when generating a person, you get like 10 fingers on one person's hand. Or maybe the eyes doesn't look the right color, or there's misformed limbs. And it's all in the process of the way you create your prompt.
Yeah.
Guys, just quickly, we've got a few questions out here from our viewers. One coming through from Hansa. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. But there's a question coming through. Could you all please recommend some good books to understand AI better? What I love about the question is that they're referencing books. But even if there isn't a good book, maybe you can give a reference to a site or an app where they can maybe check out how to understand AI better.
So there's lots of good courses. So and actually, there's a lot of, even if you go on the Google's website, they actually have a really good free so they have different courses. So they have artificial intelligence, and they have generative AI courses, and they are actually quite easy to follow. They're quite high level, and it just gives you the understandings of what some of the acronyms are when we talk about LLMs, and we talk about Gen AI, and we talk about hallucinations and prompt engineering and prompt formats. It will just talk you through the basics of how to use these technologies, what they can be used for, and how they can try and make you more productive. So I'd really recommend going to some of the course sites, and actually you can pretty much just search it in Google and look for some of the good courses that are out there.
Oh, great. Laura, do you have anything to share for Hansa?
Yeah. Well, for myself, I started off using the website Machine Learning for Kids, which is full of really fun and basic AI projects that you can make. But I also I started taking these courses on IBM. It's called IBM Skills Build, and there are modules about AI and then prompt engineering, different aspects of AI as well. And the one I'm doing has 6 modules in that whole course. So that one's really good because it's user friendly, and it's got videos and quizzes as well. So I would recommend that.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much for sharing. I think it's time just to quickly pop onto a different question. We all know that cyberspace is a very intense topic for parents as well as for teachers and schools. And I think that kind of ties in with why teachers might not want the students to use like AI in the classroom. But now the question I have is, how can your privacy be protected? We often hear about hacking and people's information being leaked. Does AI or ChatGPT or any of those tools also have like some sort of security process to protect against the age of AI?
I mean, I'll take that. I mean, it depends what you mean by, so they're just applications, right? So it's software. So the information that you're sharing with it will help to train the AI. You can actually turn that off, but what they do is that they're building up a profile of the types of questions, types of responses. You can provide feedback. You can say it's a good response, it's a bad response. They're constantly training their platforms, or whichever one you're using, on user activities and feedback. So that's not really a hacking or a privacy, but that's your information being used to some degree. It's actually what prevented a lot of organizations, a lot of big corporate organizations, deploying AI applications straight away. And actually, most big organizations banned it. Most users weren't allowed to use ChatGPT because they were so scared that their intellectual property would then be leaked and then would be shared and train the AI application on. So there's more security around your intellectual property. In regards to security to you as a user, again, it's just if you're just asking questions and getting answers. You're not sharing any data or much data with it outside of your questions that you're asking. So it's not much of a risk, really. I mean, for kids, obviously, I'd put parameters around using it with parents. I say I love my daughter. He's got a speech application on the mobile app, so it's great. She comes home from school, she's a chatterbox. But I want her to be inquisitive. I want her to learn about technology. But she'll play games with ChatGPT. You put it on voice, and she'll say, "Let's play a game," and she'll think of an animal, and then she'll be asked questions on what animal, yes or no questions that she's thinking of. Same way, ChatGPT will think of an animal, and she has to ask questions to determine what ChatGPT is thinking. So it's, again, using those critical thinking skills.
Yeah.
I use it as a parent, when I'm trying to think of new questions for her maths homework, and she's done her homework, but she loves to learn. So, okay, create me 10 questions for a math student that's in year 1, that's on division, and it will just quickly create 10 questions I can have her answer. So it's just helping, again, constantly get the kids comfortable using a new technology.
And I think it's a great tool for parents who want to assist their children, to get a head start, or just to fill that gap, because we all know with the days that's going around, parents are busy, man. We time poor. I mean, I've got 2 kiddies myself, and I'm trying to get my daughter to learn Dutch, as well as become a little bit more secure in her math skills. So I see where ChatGPT can be useful in terms of, just giving them the little bit of confidence that they need to know that, okay, if you don't get it from me, let's try this method, or let's try this method and see which one you get better. So it is a useful tool in regards with, just facilitating learning. And I think that's the main thing, that AI is actually a tool that can personalize learning and give you the power to pace yourself. So what you can't learn in the classroom, you are able, or even at varsity level, you are able to then consult with AI. And I think people need to change the mindset that they have about the limitation for themselves, because if you don't try it, or you don't know where you want to use it, you can fall behind faster, whereas giving yourself just the stepping stone to get ahead. That's, I feel, the power of AI in itself. With that being said, I'm happy to hear that there isn't a massive risk for security, because I think that is something people are scared of nowadays, even if they don't really know what that means. Everyone's scared for the stuff being leaked out there. So I see a comment is asking why Cornelia is so quiet. So share with us, Cornelia.
I don't really have any security risks at the moment with ChatGPT or creating images. There's no really security risk, except for, now that I think of it, deepfakes, which is also kind of a thing that YouTube and all the social media is trying to control. So I know there was a thing that they said all the AI generated audio videos, if it's not relevant, they are going to block it, because it's and if the information is also not correct, they are going to block it. I know it was YouTube and then TikTok as well with their videos.
Right.
Yeah, well, I know that cybersecurity, as we know, is rapidly advancing. But I think the biggest problem really is the shortage of skilled professionals and the urgent need in 2024 because of the advancements in like quantum computing, which will allow criminals to easily decode encrypted messages, and even methods of security like two-factor authentication. So traditional methods are struggling to keep up with these challenges. But then, since AI is improving, we can use it to detect threats, for example, in phishing emails. And machine learning can help with detecting scams because the algorithms excel in like detecting anomalies. But then you've also got natural language processing, which helps in text-based threats. And you know those mini quizzes that you see on websites that
Yeah.
ask you to verify, like you're a human, not a robot.
Yes, not a robot.
Yeah, not only are you authenticating, but you're helping train the AI. So the data you submit is sent to like vehicle companies, for example, to help train their camera vision. But now, because AI is so good at doing this, like detecting traffic lights, for example, it's proving to be a cybersecurity threat because it can now do it itself. So, like, although it makes sure we're more secure against cyber threats by being more reliable than it was before, when there wasn't much data for AI to be trained on, it can also cause problems, like in terms of cybersecurity. And I also think that in terms of governments, AI should be regulated, and I agree with the outcome of the on the safety summit in Bletchley Park that took place in November. In that government should test new AI models before releasing them to the public. And also big things like AI powered weapons or biometrics and other tools that can cause major change. If they aren't regulated, there will obviously be devastating consequences. And studies now show that teenagers have become, as I said before, the most anxious generation due to the effects of social media, which was unregulated industry before. But I think that we can't really let society suffer again in the same way with AI technology, which is even more powerful because it can worsen mental health, because there are a lot of limitations and negatives, like lack of jobs and becoming cynical about everything. So it's about regulation as well.
Yeah. I think every generation just gets a little bit more cynical anyway, so I wouldn't worry too much. But no, I do agree. I mean, you know, I sort of missed that social media boom. I was probably a bit too old, and I've never really been too involved in social media. But I see it constantly, and it's a big concern being like a parent to a young daughter. So I mean, she's only 6 or nearly 6, so it's not there yet, but it's only a matter of time, and it's a big hurdle to overcome. And then you don't want to add AI into the mix, and Corne, what you mentioned around the technology is only started. When you talk about deep fakes and voice cloning, some of the technology, there's a company called HeyGen, sorry, and they just take a lot of funding, and you upload a video of yourself, and it will then clone you, and then you can just type in scripts. So you don't have to record a video every time. It's really good for L&D teams, really good for training teams, sales teams. It will just create AI versions of you that you just type a script, or you get a script from ChatGPT, upload it, and then you've got another video. But they look so realistic, and that's the worry, I think, for everyone is when you're seeing celebrities, famous people, politicians, people that you would trust on social media, and people that would just, especially young kids, just gravitate to, and then if they're saying things that aren't exactly positive, then that could be a worry, because people just take it. Anything that's said on social media, you take it as gospel, right? So when there's suddenly there's deep fakes and clones, that's a big concern. But like you said, Lara, there'll be, with every evolution of technology, there's normally a bad. There's normally everything. I mean, if you took Bitcoin, for example, everyone uses it for bad, and suddenly they learn how to. There comes regulation. You learn how to stop it, and it will probably be the same for AI. There'll be some misuse, there'll be some bad, and that's when it will kick in. And hopefully, Lara, we've learned from mistakes. And I think people like you'll be leading the country soon. So you'll be
to Laura, and I'm like,
yeah,
mind is blown. That's our future girl right there.
Well, also in terms of deep fakes, just the other day, it brought to my attention, in the locker room, there were these girls who were scrolling through TikTok, and then they were laughing at this video, and they were shocked that these cats were doing maths. But because I've come across so many deep fakes and like understood the incredible ability of AI, I was able to tell them it wasn't true. I mean, it would be incredible if it was, but it wasn't. And and also, my granddad the other day, he was explaining to me how Elon Musk had invested in this company and then encouraging everyone else to as well. But it was a scam, so it's important not to fall for them, like my granddad.
Yeah, it's important to look at the source and just not take it as face value.
Value.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I have a comment here, or a statement, I suppose, as well, from Lift Penguin. I love the name, by the way. So I'm just going to read this one out. A lot of the current generation are also anxious about the state of the world regarding climate change and the inaction of global superpowers with regards to it. And I think the future of climate change and AI, there is something that's happening, but it's not at a scale that we can say, hey, AI is changing climate change, for example. There's just the information and the data that we can take away from it. I don't know if anyone would like to touch on that a little bit more.
Yeah, well, I just wanted to say, I listened to an interview with Sam Altman, and he promises that AI will help us find a solution to climate change much faster because weather modeling has improved, and AI is now able to predict weather patterns way in advance.
Wow.
So it now allows authorities to inform the people living in like a certain area to evacuate sooner, get to safety if a hurricane or forest fire comes, and days before. So, in that sense, AI is literally saving lives. And also, just this week, NVIDIA announced that they can create digital twins of our world in which heads of state can try different action plans in different scenarios. So, like a model or some kind of simulation. And they would map out like the whole area and ask different people in the authority what they think is best to do, and then they'll try different options. And yeah,
That's amazing.
That's impressive.
I think what I try to do there is to look at the excitement in it. I mean, because I love technology, I think you can always be scared, and I think that's actually fine because there's always something to be scared of nowadays. But I think you've got to look for the underlying excitement in this and what opportunities that it can actually unlock. And like you said there, Laura, like where AI will be really helpful is that understanding large data, analyzing data, helping us use that data to our advantage and actually have better actions, better outcomes because we can analyze the data. And actually, the AI we're seeing is the consumer-facing AI applications, and they're just scratching the surface. But there's some big organizations. There's a company called Palantir, and they are doing some amazing stuff for organizations, for government bodies around using AI. And that's more on the data side. So I think that's out of our purview. We don't see that happening, but I think it will be so transformative for us in our everyday lives without knowing. But I think that's what some of the best technology does, right? It just, businesses are using it, and as long as they're using it for good, and we've got to trust that corporations will use it for good, and there will be some that don't, but most people hopefully will. And you've just got to look for the positives, because again, if I hark back to, my grandparents and most people's grandparents, they were scared of the internet, they were scared of phones, they were scared of it, everyone's scared of change. And I feel like this will just be a new change that we will look back on in 15 years and go, wow, how could we live without it? And that's what I'm hoping.
No, you're right. I just want to, I know we're getting to the end part. So I think this is a really good question for all three of you. What skills are necessary to pursue a career in AI and machine learning?
Casey, I think.
Yeah, I'll hit off. I mean, the skills, all I would say to everyone, I would start using it. Choose a platform, log on to ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, start asking questions, start using it, getting familiar with the types of outputs, the types of questions you can ask, helping you in your everyday. I think the more comfortable you become and the more you use it, you'll understand where this will progress as a technology. In regards to jobs, it will make you better at your job. So I don't think you need to. I think it's too early to know that there'll be new jobs and the types of jobs that it will be. I mean, everyone, when you talk about prompt engineering, I think data science will be massive because, again, it's data, big chunks of data. And sorry, Lara, if I'm taking any of your, I won't talk too much because, you know, you've probably got some great things to share. But I personally, being, you know, not a developer, not a coder, everyone should just use it, learn the basics, learn how to use it. And I think you'll become better at your job. And that's the progression that you'll see. And I think if you're scared about losing your job, it's who's going to be the slowest in the race, really, because if there's going to be cuts, they're not going to cut the person that's been performing better because you're using it. They don't care that you're using AI. It's not. I think some people are trying to, you know, put their back up and say, "Oh, I'm great without using it," but you could probably be better with using it, and that's all that matters at the end of the day.
Yeah. Well, I think from a student perspective, the main sort of subjects that really help with learning about AI and machine learning are maths, of course, computer science, physics, and English. Because you have to enjoy, as Casey said, with data science, you have to enjoy learning about probabilities, statistics, sigmoid functions, and also in terms of prompt engineering, English is very important to be able to use natural language. But in general, I just think that you need to be good at problem solving, communicating, critical thinking, and be curious about the technology, because with all technology, when it comes out, it's always changing. So if you're curious and want to learn more about it, then you'll be fine in terms of the workforce. Definitely.
Great answer,
Yeah.
Lara. Okay. You had a question earlier when we were talking about maths and English. Do you wanna ask that one quickly? Do you remember?
So there was this meme that I saw that the people said English is going to be more important for students than maths. Do you agree, Laura?
That English will be more important than math.
Yeah, in the future.
Well, that's quite a hard one to decide on, because I think at school what we learn in terms of English and math, they're both very important. And with the future, as I said before, we won't know for certain. But my opinion before was that maths was more important because, in like to program or get AI to work or understand how it works. Although we can't really know for sure, but English is important because now a lot of people are using AI for their jobs. I think that communicating and maybe having more skills that are human interactions, being able to negotiate, all those skills fall into the category of English. So, like being able to sympathize with others, which is something that I think AI hasn't reached yet. We don't know, but so far it hasn't. So definitely, English is important in terms of communicating with people and understanding their feelings. So that.
It's also the global language of the world, you know. Everybody has a right hand leaning towards the English language. And I think just learning English would help you in your future to navigate your career, because if you're thinking of working internationally, I think English language would be more useful, but that also depends on the career field. As a teacher, and someone who studied English, we always taught our learners that English is so important in order for you to understand a question. If you can't read or write, how can you answer a question in mathematics, for example? So the integration between the two has always been quite important. And I think we are getting to the point where we have to say, in order to be successful, in order to do your best in any career, you should be a lifelong learner. So whether you're learning English or Hindi or Spanish, make sure you learn maths with your English, Hindi, and Spanish as well for future career opportunities. And yeah, on that note, we are reaching the end. So I'm going to conclude by asking Laura or even Casey Cornet, please feel free to say, do you have any fun apps that you can suggest to our viewers for AI projects for beginners? Is there anything? So, say for instance, to the person who's just joining in the AI world, what can they?
Laura's chomping at the bit. I can see it. Go, go.
So please give some suggestions out there to our viewers if they want to start some AI projects.
Yeah, well, the thing is, I use AI quite a lot for work and also just for fun. So I wouldn't really say the websites I use are just to make things using AI, like projects. But if you've heard of Leonardo AI or Ideogram, they're a bit like Midjourney, but they're also image generating tools. But I just find it fascinating seeing what creations and artwork AI can come up with. Like for people who haven't used AI that much, I think they would really, really like using image generating tools like those to create a scene of unicorns or even a realistic portrait. And one thing, I asked it to come up with a poster, but the text wasn't exactly right because it struggles with some things. And there's also a platform called Futurepedia, which you can search to find any AI tool you want to use. So I searched recently, I wanted to find out the meaning of songs. So I just searched it into Futurepedia, and it came up with a list of different AI tools by different people. And you can just start finding them on there. And there's also I use character AI. A lot of people my age do, really. At school, they're always talking about it. But the idea is to you can create different people. They're not people, but chatbots that are have the same personalities as different people. So I've done well, I haven't made any myself, but I've used it to chat with Elon Musk or Socrates. Of course, they're not the real people. It's just it's used AI to see what I asked them what it's like to find your passion, but the responses aren't perfect because their personalities don't match exactly. And when I used it to speak as Elon Musk, it didn't exactly work that well because I've seen loads of interviews and he doesn't really respond like that. But you can even create yourself as a character on there and set your tone of voice and ideally load it with loads of data about that person.
Right.
And you can ask it to discuss politics or just be a study friend with you from anything, really.
That's so cool. I dropped both Futurepedia and Character AI in the comments. So to our viewers, please check it out if you are thinking about creating any fun projects or just trying to explore the world of AI. Thank you so much for your insight there, Laura. I appreciate it. Casey Cornet?
Wow. I wish I had an Einstein friend myself when I was in school.
No, I mean, I think I'm too boring. I only use the corporate. I use it for mainly for work. But again, I would, for people starting out, and if you're for young adults, for students, for parents, I would say, as again, and you don't have to use it for work, but use it for fun. So my daughter loves using it to create stories. You know, we'll use it together and we'll say, okay, let's base it on a few topics. Okay, we'll set a scenario, we'll set a skill, we'll set, okay, she loves karate at the minute, so a young girl who's 5 years old, you know, she loves Harry Potter in a wizarding world, who loves karate. And you can use it to tell, you know, add a good story that wants to overcome adversity, or maybe your kid's going through something at school. You can give it the plot lines, and it will create a really good story that's customized and bespoke for the elements that you've given it. So I would just encourage people to use it, play around with it, have fun. I use it for meal prep. I use it for everything. So honestly, it's a really good tool to use.
Thank you so much. On that note, any last words from anybody before we say goodbye?
Well, I also wanted to mention that because a lot of people just use ChatGPT as a chatbot, there are also loads of other ones. In terms of understanding emotions, I mean, AI can't really do that well, but I've used a chatbot called Pi, which I have to say it was really good at giving me advice and generally really positive. So it can be seen as a best friend to kids who are struggling at school. But of course, you shouldn't share like personal or sensitive information. But that was also a really good tool.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that. On my side, I just want to say thank you so much for imparting knowledge and for sharing what you guys know about AI and just the future of it and the age that we live in, and sharing that with our viewers. I really, really appreciate it. And I think it's something that we need to harness. I will say it again. Don't be left out just because you don't know. Go for it. Don't be scared to use it. We're not here to bash it. We're actually here to celebrate the positive aspects of AI, the age of AI, and to share that with you. And I mean, Fuse School is all about learning and making education fun and engaging. And I think part of that is telling you guys about AI. And I'm so blessed to know Laura and Casey and Corney, who has taught me at the age of 33 how to enjoy the age of AI. So to our viewers, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Corney. Thank you, Laura, our super student, for just blowing our minds with what you got going on.
I learned loads from Laura today. This has been brilliant.
I think we all took something away today. So thank you so, so much. And I do want to take this time to shout out some of our viewers. Sanook, who's also writing exams tomorrow and who's constantly on Fuse School checking out our videos. So thank you so much for letting us know that you guys enjoy our content as well. We appreciate that. And we'll keep on doing the best for you that we can. Yes.
Brilliant.
All right. Yeah. Thank you so much, everyone. And till the next time, it's been real.
Thank you, guys.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Bye.